we know that the drugs work, but I really want the center to know how they work. I want to kind of legitimize what they do here from the world view by backing it up with data and evidence, because a lot of it's anecdotal. I want the center to be able to say, here, look, this drug works. I noticed some clinical data that the center was analyzing, and it was coming under a lot of scrutiny by internally and externally for not being up to par with basically the scientific methods of analyzing that data. And as the statistician, I saw for a place maybe sometime in the future to plug in. And so I had always thought, once I went back to the US, that one day I was going to come back to Ghana, to the center, and kind of use what I've learned in statistics to help them understand the herbs better in the clinical setting.
We use the Western system of diagnosis to take the history of a patient, arrive at a diagnosis. But the difference is that in the treatment regimen, you give herbal drugs and not orthodox. So it means that I really want to look at medicines, herbal medicines that we can use in place of orthodox drugs, and then come out with the best.
These medicinal plants are already being used. So what we do is that we research to confirm some of the traditional knowledge, and then from then on we develop it into products. So our mission generally is to make herbal medicine attractive to the populace.
You know, herbal medicines are usually given by oral tradition. Let's say I know something, I teach my children teach my children's children. So that's been the tradition over time. But now we need to document, we need to find out if really there's something in the plant.
It's going to take a whole team of people who understand the data entry process. I mean, to digitize these 40,000 paper records, it's going to take a lot of time. You know, it might even take a year or two to get to that point finally. But in my 9-month stay here, you know, we're going to start entering the data of the new patients that roll in to ensure that, you know, we're starting things off on a digital note, you know, with new patients who come in. And it's going to take a whole team. So there's no way that myself or one person here could possibly turn all this into electronic information. And this aids in my original mission of helping them to understand how patient outcomes, to track statistically how these herbs are working in the clinic. It's hard to mine 40,000 paper records for information. It's meticulous to go through and study them, but as for an electronic system, it's easy to pull the data and study it and look for answers. Right now it's kind of working with the clinicians, with the lab technicians and the records folks to develop a system that meets their needs for data entry. That's easy for them to enter patient data, hopefully even easier than it was to write it. Everyone's been super receptive. I even came kind of up with like, I'm gonna have to convince people to do this, but once I explained my project, everybody was like, yeah, we need that. And yeah, that'll help us with what we're doing here. And maybe it's because this is also, it's not just a clinic, but it's also a research institution. So maybe they've already bought into that kind of side of things, and anything that enables them to do their research, you know, they'll go for.
In the past, it takes me 2 weeks into the following month to write the previous month's report. But now it takes me maximum 2 days. But this one, since it's digitized, you'll be able to finish on time, take your time, proofread, make the necessary corrections before. Even if you are late, maximum 3 days, you're able to finish with everything. You are sure that whatever you are presenting is accurate.
As for myself, you know, I'm looking to learn a lot, you know, mostly just to learn about this idea of where do we get our drugs from. And when I go back to the US, maybe to develop partnerships that are beneficial to both sides, because there's a terrible history of it not being beneficial to both sides, but being able to understand how a partnership between a Western company that's doing drugs and a traditional a place like this could both benefit from such a partnership. the healthcare system in America is good for a certain group of people and not for another group. And worldwide, the disparity is often even worse. And when I come to Ghana here and I see, people that are working their hardest, but don't necessarily have all the resources we have back home to do that job, I want to see however I can, whether it's in academia or in the industry, to kind of leverage the resources that we have to kind of boost up those people and providing better healthcare. So that's my goal. People are so friendly and receptive to me here, and at this point it's getting to the point where nobody will speak English to me up front. They all really want me to learn Twi. And everybody's really willing to spend 5 minutes and maybe explain something to me in Twi, or even just, I think, Ghana's known for its hospitality, and the people here are a perfect example of that. They're always asking me, like, how was my weekend, like, how was my night? And I mean, it's the most welcoming place I've ever worked, even compared to the US. So yeah, I love it, and I love the people here, and I'm inspired by, the things that they're doing here.